Well, I have to admit, it's taking me a lot longer to kind of collect my thoughts and reflect on this movie because it's a very heavy movie, and so obviously this is going to be a very heavy review. So that's just a bit of a warning for you. Today I'm going to be talking about Civil War, directed by Alex Garland, coming from A24 Films. If you're worried about spoilers, don't worry, I'm not going to be spoiling anything. I'm just going to be giving my honest thoughts. But as always here on the channel, before we dive in, make sure you smash like and subscribe if you're new here. I mean, come on guys, click subscribe, be civil. So I'm going to be approaching this review a little bit differently today. Usually I would just dive straight in and start talking about the film, but I want to preface with some things that I was thinking before I saw the film, and I want to talk about them because I'm still thinking them after seeing the film. When I heard that A24 was coming out with this big budget movie about a civil war in the United States, my initial thought, my first thought, is that the timing just couldn't really be worse. I know every generation has its like polarizing political moments, but we are truly living through some strange times, and heading into 2024 here in America, we're going into an election season. Having a movie about Civil War, that just sounds crazy to me. But my biggest concern is not that people will see this movie, it's that people won't see this movie. And the only thing that will come from it is just talk about a civil war. Just bringing up that subject in the polarizing time in which we live. I'm not a fan of that at all. Like I said, I'm not a fan of like the entire political landscape that exists online. People just hate each other for no reason just because they associate themselves with this or that. It can go down a road, a very disgusting road, and not a road that I ever want to live to see. So that's kind of what I want to preface this with, is like, this is what I was feeling going in. I am a big fan of Alex Garland. I am a huge fan of A24 Films. And so at the end of the day, I will get up and I will go support them with my money every single time they make something, because I just love the art that they create. And when I went and I sat and I watched this film, I got extremely angry while I was watching it, I got extremely sad while I was watching it, and I got extremely nervous while watching it. But guess what? With all that said, I know it might sound like I'm like negative on this film. I absolutely loved this movie. This is easily my favorite Alex Garland project so far, and that is very hard to top with previous titles in his filmography, such as Ex Machina, Annihilation, Devs, an amazing TV show. If you haven't seen that, go freaking watch it now. But this absolutely takes a cake. It is thrilling from start to finish. It'll have you on the edge of your seat. It's the reason why you get out and you go to the movies, and the subject matter is really heavy. It's really heavy, and you just have to deal with it. If you're not familiar, the synopsis reads, a journey across a dystopian future America following a team of military-embedded journalists as they race against time to reach DC before rebel factions descend upon the White House. And I love this style of film because there's not much jumping around. We're not going into the past a bunch. We're not going from here to here to here to this story to this story. We're literally with these photojournalists, these wartime journalists, photographers that are just in the thick of things, in the thick of this civil war that's taking place within the United States, and they're trying to get the best shots possible. But something that Alex Garland really honed in on was just that occupation itself. Like a wartime journalist, a photographer who's in the thick of things, and they're literally taking these photos, looking at human beings basically as just like numbers. You could be sitting there shot, lying there, fading away, and there's somebody with a camera right in your face just taking that picture, trying to get the best shot possible for their media outlet. Like, that just blows my mind, and him shining a light on this was just the craziest thing to see. The acting was phenomenal. Kirsten Dunst, she's always been around, so I shouldn't say she's back, but, you know, for us, like, comic book movie fans, MJ's back, and she was phenomenal in this film. But then the others as well, you know. Nick Offerman plays the President of the United States. He doesn't have much of a role in the movie, but for the time that he's there, he's really great. The one guy I wanted to talk about was Wagner Moura. He plays Joel, and I really wasn't too familiar with this actor at all. I mean, I haven't seen him in too much, but he absolutely knocked it out of the park. And then if you watch the trailer, you already know, but Jesse Plemons has a moment in this film. And his like 15 minutes of this film is genuinely horrifying. He's such a phenomenal actor and he does such a good job at bringing this character to life. It's really crazy. But the other big time name is Stephen McKinley Henderson. The guy's had a really great career. It's good to see him in this, but really the main takeaway, like performance based when it comes to this film, is Cailee Spaeny. She plays Jessie, this young photographer who looks up to Kirsten Dunst's character, who looks up to this Lee, and she's like a very famous wartime photographer, and basically she just wants to follow in her footsteps. She admires her a lot, and so she travels with them, and that's about all I'll say for the plot, but it places them right in the middle of the action the entire time. It does not hold back. There are several different jump scares. It's almost like a horror movie with bullets. But something that was very unique about this movie was the music, the musical choices, just a lot of random songs. Some of it had like a Vietnam feel almost, like the Vietnam War, and then some of it was very, very modern, you know, and like placing all of that together in this like big melting pot of a movie was just super interesting. You know, it has a lot of ties. I think Vietnam, since that was like the war on TV, that was the first war that was really documenting everything, that's really the best thing that I have to compare it to, because after that, unfortunately, we've just gotten used to seeing the war on television. But this is a very interesting look at what's happening behind the scenes and what these photojournalists are going through. Now, I do want to mention that the cinematography was fantastic. The choices that they made, the stylistic like looks at different things, and also just the fact that all of a sudden you're in Washington, D.C. watching a battle take place at the base of the Lincoln Memorial. Like, what is even happening right now? It's an absolute trip. And is it trying to send a message like I was speaking about before? Yes, I think the baseline message that it's trying to say is just don't do this. Like, look what happens when you go down this way. Look at this dystopian future right in front of you on the biggest screen possible. Like, look at this example. For anybody that's ever talked about a civil war or blah, 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 like, look at what this looks like. I'm pretty satisfied with the message that it was trying to send. I got a lot out of the movie. I just don't know if that message is going to be strong enough to maybe send the message that they're trying to send. Does that make sense? I hope it is, man. I've already seen some movie critics that are disappointed that they didn't pick a side, and that just blows my mind. Like, I feel like that is the ridiculous part about all this, because the movie is literally trying to tell you, like, come together. Like, stop freaking picking sides and fighting about everything. I understand the political landscape that we live in is extremely divided, and so me even just saying this is probably going to be triggering to some people out there. I'm just talking strictly when it comes to this movie. Like, would you really want like a left-wing Civil War movie or a right-wing Civil War movie that's just completely showing, like, in an alternate reality, this is exactly what happens when XYZ is president, or in another reality, this is exactly what happens when he is president or she is president? Like, come on, guys. Like, it's just, I'm not the biggest fan of that type of thinking, always thinking that something has to send a political message. And it's funny that in this movie that is taking place in the middle of all of this politics, it doesn't really have a political message. And I really, really, really appreciated it for that. Again, I hope more people go and see this film. I hope that you go to it and you observe it and you take it all in and you come up with an opinion on your own about what it's maybe trying to say. And don't just spread the word, especially in 2024, in this year that we're living in, that Civil War movie, like that's not what needs to happen with this film. What needs to happen is people just need to go see it and appreciate the art for what it is. What should have happened all along is they should have just released this thing in 2025. That's just my 2 cents. But as for Civil War, directed by Alex Garland, I gotta give my Jones Vibes star rating. And guys, I'm giving this movie 4 out of 5 stars, no doubt. But like I said, you know, it's gonna be a heavy review. It has to be when you're talking about an Alex Garland Civil War movie. But I'm happy to talk about it. If you've seen the movie, please let me know all of your thoughts down below. Also, let me know your thoughts on my opinion here and what I'm saying. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Feel free to let me know why. That's what the comment section's for. I love reading your guys' comments. I read every single one that comes in. But also, guys, I do have a goal here on the channel. I'm trying to get to 15,000 subscribers. So if you enjoyed this review, I'd very much appreciate it if you subscribe to Jones Vibes. And if you did that, I'd say welcome. But make sure you smash like before you head out. Make sure you click on another video. You can follow me on X at Jones Vibes Only, and don't forget to keep up the good vibes, guys. But that was Civil War from Alex Garland.